Today we're going to be working on Unit 2 LT6 notes, multiplying polynomials. When multiplying polynomials, first we're going to distribute, and then we're going to multiply using the box method just like we did in LT5. All right, to start with number 1, we have 2 on the outside and then x plus 3 and x plus 5 both in parentheses. We're going to start by distributing that 2 just to this first set of parentheses. So 2 times x is 2x. And then 2 times 3 is 6. So I have 2x plus 6. And then I still have that x minus 5. Remember that 2 is only distributed to that first set. Okay? Okay, so now that we've distributed that 2, we're going to use the box method just like we did on our LT5 homework. So I'm going to take what I just distributed, so 2x and my 6, and then my x minus 5. Okay, so when I look at that, I want this box filled out. So I'm going to have my 2x times my x, and 2x times x is going to give me a 2x squared. And now I want this box, so I have my 6 and my x. So 6 times x is going to give me a 6x. Okay, moving right along. I want, whoops, just like last time, you guys. There we go. I want this box. So if I'm looking at that box, I have 2x and a negative 5. So 2 times negative 5 is going to give me a negative 10. And then I just have that 1x. So I'm going to stick that x in. And finally, we have this last box. And that's going to be my 6 and my negative 5. A 6 times a negative 5, I only have one negative in there, so I know it's going to be negative. And 6 times 5 is 30, so it's going to be a negative 30. Okay, now I'm going to simplify just like I did before, and I'm going to combine my like terms, starting with my highest power. So 2x squared is my highest power. And then these two go together. So I can say minus 10x plus 6x minus 30. Okay, those both have x's, so we can combine those. So I have 2x squared. A negative 10 plus 6 is going to give me a negative 4x, and then minus 30. And that's all you have to do for that one. That one's done. Okay, we're going to start with number 2 and distribute that 3 to the 2x and distribute that 3 to the 5. So 3 times 2 is going to give me a 6x. 3 times negative 5 is going to give me a negative 15. And those are going to go in parentheses. And then I'm just going to use what I had, which was x minus 3 for my second set of parentheses. Okay, now I'm going to use that box method like I had been doing. So draw my box in. My first set is going to be 6x minus 15. And then my second set is going to be that x minus 3. So put those negatives in front of your 15 and negative in front of your 3. Okay, we're going to start with this one right here, with this 6x and this x. 6x times x is going to give me a 6x squared. Negative 15. So if we go right here, we have the negative 15 times this x. So negative 15 times x is going to give me a negative 15x. And we're going to move right along, and we'll, whoops, you guys. Okay, so I have a 6 and a negative 3. So 6 times negative 3 is going to give me a negative 18. And I still have that 1x with that 6. So I'm going to put that x down there. And finally, my last box, I'm going to take negative 15 times negative 3. And it's a negative and a negative. A negative and a negative will turn into a positive, and that's just going to give me a 45. Okay, I'm going to start with my highest exponent, so 6x squared. Okay, I have a negative 18x and a negative 15x. I can do some of that in my head. So negative 18 minus 15 will give me a negative 33x. and then we have that positive 45 on the end. Okay, we're going to start with number 3 just like we did before, and we're going to distribute this x into those two. So x times x gives me x squared, and x times 3 is a 3x. I put that in parentheses, and then I just add my parentheses for this next one. Okay, then you're going to do your box. I have x squared and a positive 3x, and then I have x and a 4 over here. Okay, so starting here, x squared times x will give me x to the 3rd. Moving over, 3x times x will give me 3x squared. In this box, x squared times 4, I have 4x squared. And then this last one, I have 3x times 4. 3 times 4 is 12. And then I have just that x. Okay, starting with my highest power, x to the 3rd. And then both of these have an x squared on them. So I have a positive 4x and a positive 3x. That will give me a 7x squared plus 12x. That's my final. Okay, we're going to start number 4 with distributing that 2x into the x and the 4. So 2x times x, 2x squared. 2 times 4 is 8. And you also have that x on the outside, so you need that 8x in there. Okay, and then the second set just stays the same. Make my box. I have 2x squared, and then 8x, and x minus 9. Okay, with that box, 2x squared times x will give me 2x to the 3rd. Moving over here, 8x times x is going to give me 8x squared. (2x squared) times a negative 9. Negative 9 times 2 is going to give me a negative 18, and then I still have that x squared. And finally, 8x times negative 9 is going to give me a negative 72x. Okay, I'm seeing right in the middle here, those both are x squared, so I can combine those. So I'm going to start with 2x to the 3rd, my highest power. Negative 18 plus 8 is going to give me a positive 10x squared, and then minus 72x. And I can't change any more of those or simplify any more of those, so we are done with that one. Hold on, I just saw a mistake I made. So look at this one right here. So we have a negative 18 plus 8, a negative 18 plus a positive 8. That will change this to a negative 10. So right here, that should be a negative 10x squared. So 2x to the 3rd minus 10x squared minus 72x should be your final answer. Sorry about that. Okay, this next set that we're going to do, we're going to be multiplying more than binomials. So the number of rows has to equal the number of terms in the first factor. Okay, and the number of columns is going to equal the number of terms in the second factor. And we're going to continue to use the box method, but instead of having just 4 squares in our box, we're going to end up with more like 6 squares in our box, or maybe more than that. So let's look at this first one. We have x plus 2. And then x squared plus 3x minus 5. Okay, so I know because I have 3 terms right here, I'm going to need 3 terms somewhere, either going across or going down. So I'm just going to start my box. Okay, and because I need 3 somewhere, I'm going to put my 3 right there. Okay, and this other set says I have 2. So I'm going to put those 2 right there. So I'm going to start with x and 2. And then this is going to be x squared 3x negative 5. And then we're just going to go like we did before. So I'm going to start first with this box right here, and this x and this x. Okay, so x squared times x is x to the 3rd. Then I'm going to move over here with this 2 and this x squared. So 2 times x squared will give you 2x squared. I'm going to move down a box, so now I'm in this one right here. So I have x times, times 3x, so that should be the bottom one. So x times 3x, and that's going to give you 3x squared. And then this box over here is going to be a 2 times that 3x. So 2 times 3 is 6. So now I have 6, and it's just an x, so I just have 6x right there. Okay, but you'll see we still have 2 boxes on the bottom, so we're not quite done yet. So I'm going to go again, and I'm going to do this bottom one with the top and the left side. So this one says negative 5 times x, so this is going to be negative 5x. And then we're going to take this very last one, this set right here, and it's going to be the top and the very left side bottom. So I have 2 times negative 5, which gives me a negative 10. And then there's no x's or anything, so I can just leave that one as a negative 10. So now we're going to do the same. We're going to start with our highest power and work our way down. But when we work our way down, we're going to look and see, is there anything that I can combine? Well, I see both of these have an x squared, so I can combine both of those. And I see both of these have just an x, so I can combine both of those. So I'm going to say x to the 3rd plus 3x squared plus 2x squared minus 5x plus 6x minus 10. Okay, I see those x squareds can be combined, so I'm going to say x to the 3rd. 3x plus 2x squared is going to give me a positive 5x squared. And then I have a negative 5 plus 6x. That's going to give me a positive 1. So I'm going to say plus 1x, and then that negative 10 is just going to go on. Okay, and now I know I'm in standard form because it's 3 to 2 to 1, and then just my constant or my number that's just at the end. Okay, so let's look at the second one. We can write our box really either way. So we can have our 3 going down the left side, or we can have our 3 going across the top. I'm going to try with the 3 going across the top this time, and 2 going down the side. So with my 2 going down the side, there it is, and my 3 across the top, there's 1, there's 2. Okay, so I'm going to take these 3 and put them across the top. So I have 2x squared, I have a 3x and a 4, and then I have an x, and because of that negative 4, we're going to make this a negative 4 right here. That minus 4, that x minus 4, we're going to make that a negative 4 on the bottom. Okay, so I'm going to start with this one. So I have 2x squared times x. So I have 2x to the 3rd. I'm going to go this box. I have 3x times that x, which will give me 3x squared. Now I have my 4 times my x, which is going to give me 4x. And now I'm starting back again. So I have this box right here, and I have my 2x and my negative 4. So 2 times negative 4 gives me a negative 8. And I have that x squared from the top. I'm going to look at this one right here, which I need this top, so my 3 and my negative 4. So 3 times negative 4 is going to give me a negative 12. And then I just have the 1x. And then I have this last one right there. So that last one, I have 4 times a negative 4. Well, it's a positive times a negative, so it's going to be a negative. And 4 times 4 is 16. Okay, so now I'm going to start with my highest power, and I'm going to combine like terms. So I see both of these have an x squared, and both of those have just an x. So we're going to combine those like terms in just one step. We're going to do some of this in our head. So we're going to start with 2x to the third. I have a negative 8 plus 3. So negative 8x squared plus 3x squared, that's going to give me a negative 5x squared. And I know it's going to be negative because my 8 is bigger than my 3. That digit is a bigger digit than a 3. So I know it's still going to be negative. Okay, now I have a negative 12 plus 4. Again, that negative 12 is bigger than that 4. So I know it's going to be negative. So negative 12 plus 4 is going to give me a negative 8x. And then I have minus 16. So I'm from my highest power, 3 to 2 to 1, all the way through, so I know I'm done with that one. All right, we're going to continue on with number 7. I have 2x plus 3, and I'm going to multiply all of that by 4x squared plus 5x minus 1, and we're going to do that the same way we have been doing with that box method. So because I have 3 terms right here, I'm going to have 3 terms going across the top. Remember, you can go across the top or down the side with those 3. It doesn't matter. You just have to have 3 somewhere. It does not matter what order they go in. Okay, so I'm going to have 2x and 3 going down the side, 4x squared, 5x, and this is a negative 1, so I'm going to put a negative 1 there. I'm going to start by filling in this box first. I'm going to do that using this 4x and this, or 4x squared and that 2x. So 4 times 2 is 8, and x squared times x will give me x to the third. Then move over, and I have this box right here, and I'm going to multiply that 5x times that 2x. 5 times 2 is 10, and I have x times x, which gives me x squared. I'm going to move to my third one. Take that negative 1 and multiply that by 2x. Negative 1 times 2 is going to give me a negative 2, and I just have that 1x. Okay, now I'm going to do that bottom row. So when I'm looking at that bottom row, I'm going to be right here, and I'm going to use this 4x squared on the top of that and my 3. 4 times 3 is 12, and then I just have x squared because I'm not multiplying that. 3 is just a 3, so I have no other x's to multiply with that. Okay, then I'm going to move over, and I have this box right here, so I'm going to use the 5 above that box and the 3 on the side of that box. 5 times 3 is 15, and then I just have the 1x. And then finally, I have this box right here. I'm going to use that negative 1 times that 3. Negative 1 times 3 is going to give me a negative 3. Okay, so now I start with my highest power. So my 8x squared, or sorry, 8x cubed is my highest. So 8x to the third. And then I see that these two both have x squareds, so I can combine those. These two both have just an x, so I combine those. So 12x plus, or 12x squared plus 10x squared is going to give me a positive 22x squared. And 15x minus 2x or plus a negative 2, those would both give you the same answer. So 15x minus 2x is going to give me a positive 13x. And then I'm just going to stick my negative 3 on the end. So this will be your final answer for number 7. Looking at number 8, I see that I have 3 terms right here, and I also have 3 terms right here. So I'm going to need a box that is 3 by 3. So this one's going to have to be a bit bigger than the other ones. So here's my first row, my second row, and then I have my columns. And again, it does not matter what order you put them in as long as they go from the highest power to the lowest power. So I'm going to say x squared. This will just be a 4x, and this is going to be a negative 7. And then my next set of terms, I have x squared. This is a 3x, and that's a positive 5. Okay, so now we're going to start just like we did before. I want this box, so I'm going to take x squared times x squared. Well, x times x is still going to give me that x, and then I have the 2 sets of 2, so that's going to give me that 4. And move over, and I want this box right here, so I'm going to take that 4x times that x squared. That will give me 4x to the third. And now I want this box here, so I have -7 times x squared. That's going to give me -7x squared. Okay, now I'm going to move down. And I want this box right here. So I'm going to take x squared times that 3x. So 3 times x is still going to give me 3x, and now I have to the third. Okay, now I want this one right here, so I'm going to go straight above. 4x times that 3x. 4 times 3 is 12, and then I have x squared. Now I want this one right here, so I'm going to take that -7 times that 3. -7 times 3 is going to give me a -21, and I just have 1x there. I want to go back to this box right here, so I'm on my last row, so I go straight above. X squared times 5. That will give me 5x squared. Oops, I should have done that one in green. Now I want this one right here, so I'm going straight above. So I have 4x times 5. 4 times 5 is 20. And then I have an x. And then lastly is this one right here. And I have a -7 times a 5. Well, -7 times 5 is going to give me a -35. Okay, now we're going to start with our highest power. So my highest power is that x to the 4th. And let's see what I can combine. So I see that I have x to the 3rd here and x to the 3rd there. So those can be combined. I have 5x squared, 12x squared, and a -7x squared. So those can be combined. I have 20x minus 21x, and those can be combined. So I'm just going to start right away with my x to the 4th and just plot my x to the 4th in. Then I have 3x to the 3rd plus 4x to the 3rd. That's going to give me 7x to the 3rd. Now I have 5x squared plus 12x, that's squared, so that gives me 17x squared minus 7x squared. It's going to give me a positive 10x squared. Then I have 20x minus 21x. That's going to give me a -1x. And then that -35, I can't do anything with that. So I'm just going to put it on the end. So that is going to be your final answer. And notice we went from our highest power to our lowest power, or just our constant there at the very end. Please ask questions if you have some. This can get a little tricky at times. So if you are feeling confused, ask questions so we can answer them right away and get you started.